and welcome to the November episode of QB Talks. My name is Gary Dehart, and I am the host of QB Talks. I'm the publisher of Insightful Accountant and also the host of the Accounting Insiders podcast, which is Insightful Accountant's podcast. I would say we do it weekly, but it's not every week. So sometimes it's twice a week. So you get it when you get it. Just while people file in the room, I always like to ask a goofy question. Usually our speaker's on here, but she'll be hopping in just a minute. So I'll ask myself a goofy question, and that is, what's the best thing on the Thanksgiving dinner table? For me, this may sound weird, especially if you're not from the South, but I like my mom's potato salad. That's my favorite. My sister-in-law says potato salad is a spring side and should not be included in Thanksgiving, but we include it anyway. So without any further delay, so today is QB Talks. Again, it's November QB Talks. Alicia Pollock is our speaker, and she's going to be walking you through how to provide training to your clients and why it matters. So, but I did want to, before I turn it over to her, I did want to make sure that you guys did know we have our Be Insightful program that we're running. It is an annual training program, consists of 9 tracks. I do have a polling question, and those tracks run anywhere from app comparisons. Murph's done a couple of app comparisons charts, and he's going to continue doing more of those. We're covering human resources, we're covering tax, we're covering marketing. We've got automations we did yesterday, and a couple of other sessions. I'm drawing a blank on those. We have a coaching session, and then there's at least one more, but I don't have to guess because it's actually included in the poll. Matt, can you go ahead and post that poll? It's the one that says info on Be Insightful program. There we go. So there's our trainers and our tracks. So we've got Coach's Corner, app comparison, tech stack with Kelly Parks. That's one I left out. Your tax practice with Christine Gervais. Your Firm Accelerated, and that's hosted by the people over at QB Express, and they're really helping you dial in on training, which ties in a little bit with what Alicia's speaking about today. Then Practical Automations with Cal Turif. Janelle Sikora is on marketing. Human resources, we have Michelle LeBlanc, and then Murph on that last one is, I can't read it. It's cut off. Can anybody read that? Oh, here we go. His migrations. Yeah, kind of looking at going from desktop to something else. And he's just providing some good in-depth information on there. And that is an annual program. We're about to launch a monthly pricing for that you'll see started. We'll be marketing that coming up pretty soon. I'm going in, Matt, go ahead and close that poll out. And then I will read through kind of the other housekeeping items that we need to cover. And then I will turn it over to Alicia. So this is a CPE eligible webinar. You know the deal. You have to be here for 50 minutes, 50 minutes. You have to answer at least 3 of the poll questions. We just put one up there. There will be 3 more. Make sure you participate in at least 3 of those. We will post the recording on our YouTube channel. We will send you the link to that recording to the YouTube channel. We'll send that to you afterwards, along with a copy of the slide deck. Is that correct, Alicia? Are we going to get this deck? I think you already sent it over to us.
I think you should already have it. Yeah.
We already have it. Yep. So we'll get that to you, and we'll also drop it down into the chat as we go. And then finally speaking of chat, Alicia did ask that we open the chat up so you guys can talk to her, you can talk to each other. So I think she likes to have a nice active chat stream going there. I can't do that. It's very distracting to me. So good for you who can do it. It's hard for me to concentrate, but I think that covers it for me. I'm going to bounce out of here. Alicia, thank you so much. We certainly appreciate it. But since you are back, what is the best thing on the Thanksgiving dinner table?
Everything but the turkey. I love all the side dishes. I do a plate of side dishes and a little bit of turkey. My number one is either stuffing or green bean casserole, but the traditional way with the crunchy onions on top and the
nice.
Campbell soup.
Now, stuffing, is it a true stuffing inside the bird stuffing, or is it a dressing on the side?
I like the stuff from the bird, but generally they sit in bowls side by side on our table.
Yep. We grew up with it on the side, but my wife's family did it in the bird. I like it in the bird. It's really good. And it's like a sausage and apple that's really good. So
yeah.
Well, yeah, looking forward to that. All right, I am really out of here this time. Thank you, Alicia. I muted
Uh,
myself. I muted myself. Appreciate all the time and effort that you do put into QB Talks. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Gary, it's been a pleasure working with you this year. All right. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So what I'm going to talk about today is training for success. It says in CAS because this has been kind of a hot topic across accounting firms as well as individual bookkeepers. So no matter what your structure looks like, whether you're a solopreneur or a big company, training is really crucial. So let's go in and, this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart because I have a Master of Arts in teaching. That's what I do by nature. The fact that I'm teaching bookkeeping, if you had asked me 30 years ago, I did not expect to be doing this, but because everybody is like so welcoming and hungry for knowledge, that's where I wound up. So a little bit about me. I have my own QBO training platform called royalwise.com at learn.royalwise.com. And that's what I do all day is teach people to use QuickBooks. So today I'm going to teach you how to teach people how to use QuickBooks. I'm also the co-host of the unofficial QuickBooks Accountants podcast with Hector Garcia. I've been a top 50 women in accounting and a top 10 pro advisor from Insightful Accountant. And this is just what I do. So here is, if you haven't already checked out our podcast, it's uqb.show is the website, or you can just go to your favorite podcasting app and look us up from there, or there's a QR code on the screen. But every week, Hector and I spend about a half an hour to an hour talking about Intuit news and literally deep dives into features. Okay, so here is what I'm going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about why training is important, how to craft an intentional training experience, a little bit about learning styles, an acronym called ALOA. We're going to also look at Intuit's training materials. They just debuted the Pro Advisor Academy, and I am stoked. So I'm going to take some time away from my normal content on this topic and really focus on what's available to you through Intuit. We'll also take a look at what it takes to create your own materials. And I also want to emphasize partnering with our community because we have a lot of trainers who are already doing a lot of this work so that you don't have to recreate the wheel. Then you can just come in as the trainer and not have to like create all the content. All right, we just did this. Actually, no, go ahead and run this poll for me, Matt, if you would. And let's okay, so let me know, do you provide training to your staff and clients? So go ahead and answer that for me. It helps me know if you are already doing training, or you aren't doing any training, or you love doing training, or you hate doing training. Some people love doing training. Some people absolutely don't want to do any of it. And so it's always a nice idea, if you're somebody who doesn't like training, to partner with somebody who does. And if you do like training, finding the best path. So we'll leave that open for a moment. And Matt, when you're ready to close it, if you could show the answer so I could see it, I would love that. Somebody is asking, will the materials and recording be sent afterwards? The recording is going to be posted on YouTube. They have a whole channel for QB Talks so that you can watch the replays there. And we do have the PDF of the slides, and Matt should be able to make that available inside the webinar chat and post those as well. Okay. And Leslie says that she loves training. Her goal has been to empower small businesses to succeed. And that's exactly how I feel about it too. All right, let's go ahead and get that poll closed in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Can you show the results so that I can see? All right. So some of you provide training to your staff. More of you provide training to your clients. Even more of you provide training to both. And about 12% of you aren't doing any training at all. So it is one of the things with QuickBooks that's really super important is that there is some training element available, because Otherwise, QBO is just self-taught. You kind of peck around and hunt and peck and find it, and you figure out how to do the thing that you need to do, and hopefully you get it right. But maybe you don't get it right, or maybe you never look at all the other things that the software does that you have no idea. When we're looking about it at for your team, if you are not a solopreneur and you have other bookkeepers underneath you, professional development reduces turnover. It helps people with their personal satisfaction. And if it's your clients, it depends, if you're doing all the work for your clients, then no, you don't really need to train your clients. But if you have DIY clients who are doing it themselves and you're answering the same questions over and over again, then that's a good sign that they need training, and what you don't want to spend your time doing is cleaning up after them. So that's another reason why training is important. As far as the retention piece, especially in the accounting firm industry and CAS, which is the new buzzword, client accounting or advisory services, these are the concerns that people had about retention in the industry, and training directly assists in having a happy staff. If somebody gets a certification, give them a salary bonus. It helps with the amount of time that they're taking. If they're spending a whole lot of time figuring things out, then they're not being efficient. And so when somebody knows how to use QuickBooks, the tasks don't take as long, and it actually becomes kind of fun to do all the stuff on it. You get that personal satisfaction from the endorphins going off in your head every time you learn something new. You actually have chemical firing happening in there. In the culture, you show that you care about your employees and that you're encouraging them to grow as professionals. It also, if you have a kind of flat firm and there's not a lot of advancement opportunity, having your experienced staff supervise your new hires and train them kind of gives them a role to step into, but compensate them for it if they're doing training. And then also learning is fun. It increases those endorphins, and so it makes the work just that much more enjoyable. Okay, there's also investment in training helps your ROI, your return on investment. And some people say, oh, well, training takes so much time, and now I have to, pay my employees in order to take the time to not do the work. But that's really short-sighted. Somebody who doesn't have training in how to use QuickBooks is going to take 6 times longer to accomplish the work because they have to go research it, they have to figure it out, they have to get it wrong, and then they have to go fix it. And if you are just sending them off to do their own self-training, that takes way longer to do because now they have to go off and do research and search on YouTube and find that one spot in the one video that has the answer to their question. So if you provide training and it's targeted, then you're saving all of that time. Millennials in the workforce believe that professional development helps the company culture. They enjoy work where they are receiving that personal value of training. And 76% of employees don't think that their employers give them enough digital training. And that's not just QuickBooks, that's, email or Slack or Asana or any of the other tools that you're using. You want to make sure that your staff knows how to use your tools. Don't just throw them in and assume that they know what you know. Okay. Now, how you know if you need to provide training in your services or in your company is if you find yourself answering the same questions over and over and over again. Sometimes it's one client who's asking the same question repeatedly and they just can't hold the answer. Sometimes it's the same clients asking the question. Sometimes it's your staff members. Sometimes it's every time you onboard a new staff member, they have the same questions. Those are all signs that training is missing in your culture. If people are making the same mistakes, maybe they're not asking you any questions, but they're making the same mistakes. That's an opportunity for you to say, oh, wait, there's a hole I have to fill. I've got a pothole on my road and I need to patch that pothole. It's also lower cost to your clients. If you are, when a client hires me to do training, I could be giving them the same training that I've given everybody else, and they're paying the retail rate for it. But if I can productize that training or package that training, then I don't have to be the person using my time to give the training. They can still get the training, but it's not taking, it's cheaper for the client and it doesn't take my time. Training's also therefore an opportunity to add a new revenue stream as well. I'm not going to do a poll right now. Okay. So now, if you are going to offer training, there's good training and there's bad training. And we have all sat through bad trainings. And I like to think that I'm a good trainer. I like to think that I explain things good. But you know, there's method to the madness. I have a master's in teaching. I have learned some things that actually help. So I want to give you some of those tips and tricks and things that you can do to make sure that the training sticks. So the first thing is really crafting the experience. People usually know that they don't know something. And so that's where people start is they're here to get training because they know that they don't know how to do a bank reconciliation. So that's your starting point. They're coming to you with that, and you want to make sure that you answer that question. But there's also what they know they I think I said that a little backwards. So let me actually reframe that. So they came to you for your expertise. I actually started in the second quadrant where they know what they don't know. But when you're starting a training with somebody, also reinforce what they know that they know. Like make sure that they have that confidence that, oh, wait, you're a beginner, but look at all the beautiful things that you can do. Starting with that level of confidence puts them in a starting from positive feeling instead of starting from the unknown, which is scary and uncomfortable. Then, once you start doing the training, you build their confidence. What you're going to know that they don't know some things. You're going to see that, well, in order to do this reconciliation well, you also have to be able to recognize duplicate transactions. And then you have to know what they why they're there and what to do about them. So you add in their missing pieces. You, as the expert, can see that there's more to the question than the question they were actually asking. Then the last step is the value added and filling in their gaps, what they don't know that they don't know. And at Royal Wise, that's actually kind of what we pride ourselves in is all the little backdoor links and tips and features and creative ways of using the software that people don't know about. And so I personally try and throw those into the trainings, especially when I've got people who are from basic level all the way through advanced. I always make sure that there's something for everybody. I'm answering the questions that people are there for, but then I'm also giving those experts those little nuggets that set their endorphins firing. And then they both get the reassurance that, yeah, they know their stuff. And there's all those little tidbits that are still to learn. And while I'm talking about this in the context of QuickBooks, because that's the universe that we are all living in, at Royal Wise, we also do Apple training and Mac training as well. And so this same experience doesn't have to just be this one area of accounting and bookkeeping. This is really true for anything that you're passionate about. This is kind of the flow that you want to do with your clients. So you start with confidence in knowing what they know, answer the things that they know that they don't know, help them with the rest of the context for what they don't know that they know, and then fill in the gaps with what they don't know. Okay, now learning styles is the next piece of this. Different people learn in different ways. You could be the best explainer in the world, but it doesn't mean that it's going to sink in. There's different ways of learning, and then there's the different kinds of learning. So we've all heard about the learning styles of audio, visual, and kinesthetic. And I'm even failing right now because I'm just having you guys listen and look. for the sake of time, I'm not having you do any learning activities or anything kinesthetic to make this stick. My bad. But so I'm focusing today on the audio of you listening and the visual of information on the slides. Some of you, if you are a kinesthetic learner, one of the best things you could do right now is just have a pad of paper in front of you and just take notes of the things that I'm saying. That act of writing helps the kinesthetic learn and helps you remember. Now, as far as the ways people actually learn, the more active you can make it, the better. That this kind of goes from the bottom up. If you read something, you're only going to retain 10% of it. If you read it and hear it, you're going to get 20%. And by the way, this is one thing I did with my kid, is he didn't like reading, but I would have him read the audiobook along with the actual book. Or these days, you can just have Siri recite what you're reading, and that way you can hear and see at the same time. If there's pictures involved, that moves you up to 30%. If you watch moving pictures, if videos, take it up to 40%. If you watch a demonstration, now you're seeing it being done so that you can that actually helps with the kinesthetic, even though you're not really doing it. That's 50%. If you teach somebody how to do it, then you're explaining it and it's going to stick even better for yourself. If you do a simulation of the activity and actually do hands-on training, then it takes up to 90%. And then there's the actual doing. And that's when you really learn your expertise. Okay. Donna has a good question here. How do you find out a potential training client's best learning style? Straight up ask them, or do you have a more subtle way? That's a really good question. With audio, visual, and kinesthetic, most people can tell you. You can ask them just, how do you like learning things? And they'll tell you the things that have worked for them. And then that will give you a hint as to what the best approach is. That's the easy part. There are actual quizzes that you can take in order to determine your learning styles. But for the sake of what we're doing in the context of training inside CAS, there's not going to really be too much opportunity to do it that way. So at least start by asking them. Okay. Now, when you are giving your trainings, I use ALOHA as my acronym for this. Ask, listen, observe, help, and ask again. So always ask questions. At Reframe 24, Hector Garcia's conference a few days ago, we emphasized curiosity. Don't just come in and be the expert. You need to ask them what they know, ask them what they need, ask them how they feel about it, ask them questions and get to know what it is that they need to know and how they're feeling about it. Like, get to know them as a person, because that's going to allow you to tailor your delivery to what that person needs. While you're doing that, put on your critical thinking skills. Listen. They've got the question that they came to you for, or the question that you identified, but where are the gaps? What is the underlying issue? What's even deeper than that they don't understand? Is there something missing? Going back to reconciliation, one of my standard jokes is that reconciliation is a two-phase process. There's the first phase, which everybody knows, which is you check off the transactions that are on the statement, right? And then they press reconcile and they think they're done. But what's the missing piece? The missing piece is all the other transactions that are still in the register throwing off the bank balance. And they don't know that there's two parts to reconciliation. There's the part of identifying what's supposed to be there, and then the second part of identifying what isn't supposed to be there, and even that level of expertise of knowing how to fix it. So you always have to listen and find out not just the surface of what they're trying to learn, but all the things they're going to need to learn to be able to be successful. The next part is observation. looking for the visual cues of understanding and confusion. And granted, that's a lot harder now that we're in Zoom and virtual education than it was when I was in the classroom. That when I was in the classroom teaching, as I was saying things, I'd be looking for people's faces, like, are they puzzled? Are they frustrated? Are they delighted? That look of their aha moments is like why I do this. And, I've got 150 people in this Zoom right now, and I don't get to see your reactions. All I can do is see whatever you are putting in the webinar chat, which is why I like having it open. But whenever you can at least have cameras on during Zooms, that is invaluable to you as an instructor. And I've got 3 monitors going on over here. I've got the screen in front of me, which is what you see. I have all of my PowerPoint and content management going on a second monitor over here. And then over here, I have my webinar chat, my Q&A, the participants list, and the video of me so I can make sure that I don't have a booger hanging out of my nose. And so the more that you can do to have that, the cues of where people are at are really, really critical. Like, when we were live and I can see people's faces, if I see somebody kind of go, then it gives me the opportunity to ask them, what are you thinking? Are you having trouble with something? Is there something that doesn't make sense? Okay. And then when I am doing trainings, especially around QuickBooks, there are times when I actually, where the help, and this help can be a couple different things. Help could be if you're in a classroom setting and actually sitting down and doing an exercise with them. In terms of QuickBooks, if I'm giving a training and I find things that are wrong in my client's file, sometimes I don't explain it. Sometimes I just say, hang on a second, cover your eyes or cover your ears and go la 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 la. And I'll just go in and fix the thing that needs to be fixed instead of explaining what I'm doing as I'm doing it. I do a lot of cleanups and along with my trainings. And so if it's a one-time piece of information that is relevant to what's happening on their screen right now, but they're not going to have to deal with it again, I do not fill up their brain with that information. I just say, hang on a second, let me go do this thing, then we'll pick up where we left off. And I make sure that the information that I'm giving them is as specific as possible to what they need and as step by step as possible. I make sure that whatever limited capacity they've got isn't going to be filled up with stuff that's not going to be relevant later on. Okay. And then the last part in ALOA is ask again. They're going to tell you they understand. You're going to say, oh, does that make sense? And, and those of you who have trained a lot with me, I'm always like, does that make sense? Does that make sense? And I say it over and over again. But people will say, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, yeah, totally. I got it. I'm fine. And then a week later, a month later, they don't remember what made sense at the time. And they come back to you again. And so it's having follow-up is also really, really important. That you want to make sure later on that they really are getting it right and that they have retained it. And don't, a lot of people also will be afraid to ask questions. They don't want you to judge them. They don't want to look like they don't know something. And especially if we're talking about your staff, even though you want them to ask questions so that they can learn all this stuff, their perspective is if my boss knows that I don't know how to do this, they're going to judge me, they're going to fire me, they're going to not pay me as much. And so if you're training your staff, you have to really make sure that you have a positive culture around that learning and that your door is open and you really aren't holding it against them that they don't know something. Because people will, we all had that teacher in second grade that was like, I can't believe you're asking that question. And so we've imprinted on not knowing something is a negative. And so it's really important that you enforce that not knowing something is asking is a strength. Asking the questions is a strength. Knowing that something is not right on the screen, and even if you don't know what to do about it, being able to identify it, that's a strength. Rich is asking, what if you have one student that's struggling and not at the same level as the others? He sees this a lot with foreign students that have not yet mastered the English language. Whether it's a language barrier or an experience barrier, when I was live in the classroom, it's a little bit easier because what I would do is I would put the inexperienced student with an experienced student. So instead of them interrupting the class constantly to ask something that everybody else gets, the advanced student who doesn't need as much would be able to help fill in the gaps and kind of average them out as a duo. When I'm teaching virtually in a classroom setting, I'm actually kind of in the middle of that right now with my hands-on training that I'm doing, where I've got 30 students doing live hands-on work. And that's something that I'm going to be solving for by making study groups and pairing and having people pair up. When it's webinar style, you don't really get that as an option. With people who are English as a second language, the AI is like almost there for live translation. And so I would actually look to see what technologies are out there that can do a translation of what it hears. I can't name any of those tools, but that student who is ESL can listen to the training that you're giving and see it translated into their own language. And so that's not quite there yet, but it's coming. Okay. How to provide training. You basically have three different materials, or three different ways of your materials. You can either start with Intuit's provided materials, you can create your own training resources, or you can foster some strategic partnerships with other people who are providing QuickBooks training. Up until this past year, we've had a group called the Intuit Trainer Writer Network. That were all of the different QuickBooks trainers who were kind of a group where we shared resources and training opportunities. They've disbanded the TWN, but we're all still trainers. We're all still out here. And so there's a couple hundred people who love QuickBooks training that you can use as a resource. Now, let's talk about training for your team. There's the brand new Pro Advisor Academy. Jacqueline Anku spearheaded this effort and built on everything that Johanna Wee had built in the past. And so there's a brand new Pro Advisor Academy. They've revamped the certification tests, which used to be called just certification or core certification and advanced. And now they've taken the core and the advanced off, and they just call it level 1 and level 2, with the idea that there will be more to follow. There's certification in QB payroll, desktop, and enterprise. And something that's brand new is that it used to be you did the module training and then you took the test, but now they've broken it up so that you can either do the modules or test out, go straight to the test. And if you do the modules, you actually get to take that portion of the test right with the module. So you can do them simultaneously, which is super cool. I actually want to go and show you the Pro Advisor training portal. And so I'm in my QBOA and I'm under Pro Advisor and under training right here. And so it says in-depth product training that works as hard as you do. So I'll click Start Learning. Now that opens up a new tab. And what you're going to see here, and this is actually my actual hub, is actually, no, I take it back. This is not my actual hub. Sorry. Not. So when you're on my hub, you will see on the left-hand side, all of the badges that you've earned for all of the certification tests that you've passed. You will see them right here available for download, and your CPE certificates. Also in the hub, you will see all of the courses that you're currently enrolled in and currently taking, bookkeeper certifications, all of the different courses. And I'm going to actually show you that in a moment. So that's my hub, is what you're working on right now. Then under the certifications tab, there are two sections, the foundations and the specialties. The foundations are first a bookkeeping certification. This is brand new. This is related to the course that was in Coursera, but you had to be a paid member of Coursera to take the bookkeeping certification. So they pulled it out of Coursera and it's here now. And so it's about 30 hours of material. It does have a certification test involved with it. And so it goes through bookkeeping basics, assets and sales, like all the things that you need to do besides know what button to click. Because that's what the certification one test is. It's like, oh, I know where the new invoice button is, which helps you use the software, but it doesn't mean that you can actually do anybody's books. So here's all the missing information is actual bookkeeping. Okay, then you have certification level 1 and 2. As I mentioned, certification level 1 is really just here's where the AR features are, here's where the AP features are, here's where the banking is, you know, all of the basics. And the way that it's broken up now is you can start one of these modules and the test is part of the module. You earn CPE by doing the module, and then the test is all right there with it. And so you can do each one unit one at a time. You can even do them in whatever order you want. If you are already an expert, then you can click on test out and it will skip all the modules and take you straight to the exam. You don't get CPE if you do that. You have 3 attempts. You can if you don't pass after the 3rd attempt, there's a cool down period. It's either 30 days or I think it's 30 days, but don't quote me on that. And then you can take it again. And that pattern is true for all of these different tests. So the online certification 2 was the former advanced certification. It doesn't even let you in until you finished level 1. So you have to take them in order. And then it gets into more advanced features, more seldom used features, more creative use of the features, year-end close, custom reporting, a little bit more about QBO Advanced. So those are the certification tests. Then when I go under specialty, you also have a payroll certification for how to use QBO payroll, desktop certification, and enterprise certification. So you still can maintain your desktop information. Now, I also want to point out that every time you take one of these certification tests, you also get points in the Pro Advisor tab, which is back under here under benefits. Like I said, this is not my real one here, but when you go from silver to gold to platinum to elite, you get different levels and different benefits. The number one most important one is the premium phone chat support. This right here is worth the whole process to get this direct line, because you get a line from higher tier support. You're not calling the overseas public help desk. You are calling the people who actually know how to help accountants and pro advisors, and they have more information. So but you have to get to gold to get there, which means you need 500 points, and your best route to those 500 points are taking your certification tests. Okay, so now let's say you are not interested in certification, or you have your certification. You can also go straight to the courses and go straight to any one of these topics. It doesn't lead to certification, but it's all the same content from the certification. There's a history tab where you can go find your certifications and your CPE, and then FAQs. So this is the new Pro Advisor Academy, and I highly recommend that you check it out. Recertification, it hasn't changed either. Recertification is in the April to June window, when you just focus on the new features that came out during the year, and that helps you keep your certification up to standard. Okay, so that is the Pro Advisor training for your team. Oh, Shirley's asking, do you have to do level 1 if you're already advanced certified? Once you do the advanced certification, level 1 goes away, so you don't have that anymore. Okay. Oh, and Meryl's asking, are the sections open book? The Pro Advisor certifications, levels 1 and 2, and the payroll are open book. The bookkeeping certification is not open book. That is important. The bookkeeping certification is actually a proctored exam where you have to do it in one sitting. You have to be on camera and microphone. They are making sure you're not doing research and talking to somebody else in the next room. So you actually have to take it in one shot and without notes. You really do need to know your stuff. Great question. Thank you. All right. For sake of time, I'm gonna, oh, actually, wait, let me see if there's anything else here. Okay. Oh, somebody's asking about charging fees for training. I would say yes, you can charge higher rates for instruction than for actually doing the bookkeeping themselves, which is also kind of a motivation for them to not try and do it themselves, to just let you go ahead and do the bookkeeping. And you have to kind of charge more because it's custom. It's training that's designed specifically for them. So training is definitely a premium service. Okay, whoops, missed that one. Okay, now for your clients, if you are going to be providing training, one of the resources that you have are the training materials that come straight from QuickBooks. And so it's in that benefits area that I was just showing you. So when you go into benefits, you scroll down to training right down here. QuickBooks training and presentation materials for your clients. And so I just downloaded that. Let me actually go ahead and open up the zip so that you can see what's in it, right? All right, I am not able to open it. Okay. Can't open it, but you download it. And what it does is it has 5 PDFs. There's a getting started, there's a navigate, recording transactions, reporting, and expanding usability. And so you can give those to your clients as handouts. And so those are some training materials that you can build on. The next step is creating your own client-specific materials. You know, if you are going to be providing this training to more than one person, you don't just want to spout it, you want to be able to leverage it. And all of my original handouts were the step-by-step instructions that I actually created for my clients, and they were based on their specific files. And now there's an app that I really like for that called Scribe, which is at scribehow.com, where you can literally do the work in their file, and every time you click, it grabs a screenshot, and then you can write an explanation on it. And then you can create them their own custom step-by-step instructions. Alternatively, there's another app that I love called Snagit, where you can take screenshots and then store them up in a library and then insert them into other documents. Now, if you are going to create client custom specific materials for a particular client, make sure that you're upselling that as a service. This should definitely be an add-on or an upsell, not part of your basic package, because it takes time. And the software changes a lot. You'll have to decide if you're going to update it. But if you're doing custom materials, then that's going to be super important. Now, another option is to record your sessions. If you're giving virtual sessions over Zoom, then recording those sessions and giving the clients the recording is really, really helpful. You could also use Loom to create instructional videos and then send them the link to the Loom. And then that way they can actually see it being done. Because remember that slide that the video is like, you know, up slightly below half mid-range. So it's easier for them to understand than just a document. Now, one of the things that I do, and I don't think a lot of people do this, but I would love to see you start, is uploading these these trainings, don't just send them a link to it, but create a repository for it. Whether you're using Taxdome or whether you have a Google Drive or a Dropbox or a Box or a share file or Liscio or even the My Accountant section in your QBO has a shared documents area, make a folder for them. Put all of the trainings in there so that they have a repository. Somebody just said something about a poll question. Thank you. I'm gonna interrupt this thought, and Matt, can you go ahead and run the next poll? Okay. So going after the original poll, which was, do you provide training? Are you interested in beginning to provide training as one of your services? Is the things that I'm saying inspiring you or deterring you? Go ahead and let me know where you stand with that. So, um, so is this something that you're like, this would be a really good idea if I started adding these to my services? Go ahead and answer that. And we'll leave the poll open for just a minute, and we'll have one more poll after this as well. Okay. So Monica, there is a poll up. If you don't see it, check to make sure that you're not in full screen, or if you're on a phone, you can swipe left or swipe right in order to see it. Okay. Oh, and Danny mentions that if you're on a PC, your snipping tool, which is just a built-in utility on your toolbar, also has the ability to do the screen captures and the video captures as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, and let's see the results. Okay, so some people would like to for their staff, more would like to for their clients. Many would like to start doing it for both, and 20% of you are like, no, I'm out. I will lean on you. So, excellent. Okay, that gives us some more room to go. Okay, so where I was going with this. Okay, Z is asking, in My Accountant for client-specific training recordings, can you upload videos or only provide a link to the videos stored in a folder in Loom? I've never tried, so I don't actually know the answer to whether that would work or not. I would think that shared documents have to be an actual file, and I've never tried loading a video to them, just documents to them, so I'm not sure. Now, this is actually one of the things that RoyalWise has as a service is, not all of you have been to my learning management portal, but I know a lot of you have, where I have classes that I've created about different QuickBooks topics. But what I also do is I make custom classes for all of my members and all of my clients, and I upload all of the videos and the custom documents that I've made for them in their custom class and then invite them into it. And then that way they have a repository where they can go and look things up. So instead of having the exact same question about sales tax every quarter, we go back and review the video that we made last quarter, and then they can go back and watch that video when they're trying to do their sales tax this quarter, instead of having to make another meeting with me. And so and I've got some clients who have like years worth of history in there, and it's great because we can also see the decisions that we made a year ago and how they're doing now. And we actually white label our portal so that if that actually sounds like, if you're like, oh my God, that's such a cool idea, reach out to us because we can create you your own custom portal where you can create those. Or you can go to something like Thinkific or Kajabi or any of those, and you can make your own courses that really aren't public classes. They're specific to a client. Or it's also fantastic for your onboarding. Creating these client-specific videos, when you have a bookkeeper who's on that engagement, and let's say they part ways and you bring somebody else on, you don't have to start from scratch with that new staff member. They can go and watch all of those videos and all of that history, and then they're just brought up to speed. And so that is pretty much as efficient as you could possibly get. Okay, next is when you are going to create your own materials. So this is not just custom to the client. This is if you're going to make things that you can reuse. This is really cost effective because you can make it one time and then use it across several clients and not have to build it from scratch every single time. I also really highly recommend leveraging your content in as many different outputs as you can. Make videos. If you have a video, cut it into short snippets. If you have handouts, turn them into blog posts. Any way that you can leverage the different content and make multiple things out of it, that just gives you that much more content. And especially if you want to become a content creator, then, start with your own website, whether it's WordPress or Wix or any of them, you can put your content in your own blogs on your own website. You can publish them up to YouTube. You can put them on Vimeo, which is great for sharing them out to multiple different websites. You can create your own learning portal like Thinkific or Teachable and host the content there. And then you can send your clients to it and they can go and buy the course. Or you can develop a whole learning management system, which is the route that I took. But, I have a master's in teaching. This is what I do. So, but you can host your own whole training center that way. And Carol's asking, is this just QBO or is this other platforms? This is literally like anything. This can be QuickBooks. This could be bookkeeping. This could be third-party apps. This might not have anything to do at all with QuickBooks and bookkeeping. You can do this for your hobbies. This is really just a way of turning your ideas into something tangible that you can share with other people to become an expert about just about anything. And this is one of the best ways of being cost efficient and cost effective with it, is being able to take one thing and turn it into something else. Especially, this is one of the best uses of AI, by the way, is that I can take a video and either we can slice it or there's AI apps that will slice it into shorts for you. Or there's apps that I'll take the transcript from one of my classes and, the way that I talk, when you read it, I don't sound nearly as articulate as I do when you're hearing it. So I take the transcript and then we clean up the transcript and make it sound really good. And then we use another AI app called WriteSonic, which turns it into articles. And then I can take that article and turn it into several different types of articles for different platforms. And that's another great way of leveraging your content. Okay, another thing is partnering with content creators. This is one of the most important things to think about, is what's the best use of your time? Why recreate the wheel? QuickBooks is QuickBooks is QuickBooks, right? Except that QuickBooks changes all the time. And so all of us content creators are constantly scrambling to keep our stuff up to date. But there's a lot of trainers out there making content, and some of it's designed for bookkeepers. Some of it is designed for the small business owners. And if they've already got the content, finding the delivery style that's right for you and your staff and your clients, maybe you can just plug in to somebody else's platform. A lot of them have affiliate credit so that you can send a link to a course and then you actually get a residual for doing that. So not only are you not having to kill your productivity by creating materials that get out of date, but you turn it into a revenue stream. You get the revenue stream from the client training. You get the revenue stream from the affiliate program. And there's a lot of people out there who are doing this already so that you don't have to. Here's just a couple of them. These are shout outs to some of the people in my community, but this is absolutely just the tip of the iceberg. There's, Hector has a vast YouTube channel where you can look up like just about everything and get your training that way. My one thing about YouTube training, and this is not about Hector, this is just about YouTube in general as a training source, is you get a wide variety of quality detail, and you have to go find the thing that you're looking for. And if you just need that one little tidbit, sometimes you have to sit through an hour or 5 hours to find that one little thing. So that's why I prefer the targeted video course trainings. Veronica Wasek is famous for e-commerce and Shopify and cleanups. Mariette Martinez has Master Your Books, and she does small business finances, everything from building a one-page business plan to courses for bookkeepers about the whole accounting cycle. Shannon Theis is the payroll queen, so she's got a lot of material about learning how to run payroll, and not just QBO payroll, but all of the compliance that you need for state and federal payroll administration. Margie Remmers Davis has been doing QBO certification classes. And at Royal Wise, we also do a whole lot of different things. And so excuse me for a moment while I talk about myself, but if you haven't been over to the Royal Wise Owls, it's called the On-Demand Web-Based Learning Solutions, and I have over 50 different QBO courses that go from like, I've never seen it before, all the way up through year-end close. There's a 6-hour boot camp that's actually based on a book that I publish on Amazon. I actually have 2 books on Amazon that are great to give to your clients. You get lifetime access to the courses. I have a partner program. So if you want your client, remember when I was talking about reconciliation? If you want to teach somebody how to do reconciliation, you can send them to the course with your affiliate link and then earn some revenue for doing it. I have a subscription program, so you can get access to the full library. We do CPE credit. But the thing out of all of this that I kind of want to reinforce is that if you do want to do your own training, you can still combine it and leverage it with my training so that you can use what I've already got and then add your own for your own topics for the things that you're an expert in that I don't know the first thing about, which is great for verticals. And so, check out Royal Wise and see if there's anything that I can do to help you out on that. So let's go ahead and get our last poll, and then I'm going to give you some additional links and answer some more questions in here. So what do you feel is the most important element to providing training? So this is just purely your own opinion. I want to go over to the forums and answer some questions over there. Z is really liking the idea of leveraging, and I think that's really important. The more you can adapt and change your existing content to use for other places, the less work that you have to do, and the more expertise that you get recognized for that expertise. Beth is in here saying, I've been giving away my expertise for free. Absolutely huge that this really is a revenue stream. You have an expertise to get recognized for, and so building that cost into your packages is really, really important. And oh, Leslie, that's really super nice. What Leslie says that she does is provide targeted training customized to each client's learning style and their needs. And if they just need a generic class, she's actually been sending people over to me at Royal Wise. But when she has something specific for them, she creates her own materials. And I like this. It's important to know what you like to do and stick to it. If you want to get into content creation, you got to keep creating content. But I think that is probably the most important part for me of all of this is what do you enjoy doing? If you enjoy training, I highly encourage you to do more of it. If you don't enjoy training, don't shy away from it because everybody needs training. All of us are hands-on, have learned QuickBooks by trial and error. Or maybe we took the certification test, but that's still what buttons to click, not real life. So real life is important. Matt, can you go ahead and close the poll and put it up? And So leveraging existing resources and not recreating the wheel has resonated with people. That's really fantastic. Using a delivery system so they can revisit the training later. Excellent. Hopefully you are already doing it. And if not, you should put something into place. Some of you need CPE tracking for compliance. If you're in a CPA firm, that is really, really important. And a couple people wrote in the chat. A lot of people are like 1 and 2. So excellent. All right, I'm going to close that. I want to let you know that I did write 2 different articles about the content that's in here that are in Insightful Accountants portal. So one of them was called Exploring the New QuickBooks Pro Advisor Academy. Some of the questions that you asked that I wasn't able to answer during this are answered in that article. So go check out that article about Pro Advisor Academy. And then I also have a summary of all the things that I was talking about delivering training. And so thank you all for coming. Anything that I can do to support you in your quest to become a trainer or to take your training off of your hands, I am absolutely here for you. This is Alicia Katz-Pollock for QB Talks, and we will see you in December.